This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, and welcome to the Educational Technology, Media, and Materials for Individuals with Disabilities webinar. This is the applicant orientation for the National Center on Accessible Educational Materials, which is CFDA 84.327Z. And my name is Tara Corshane, and I am the contact for this application, and at the end you will see my contact information if you have additional questions or need to get in touch with me. I just wanted to give you a few brief notes as we start this webinar. These slides are for guidance only, and it is a summary of the webinar. Please read the entire notice inviting applications, instructions, and all other references or related statutes, regulations, and instructions. The information here, again, is summarized, so it is important that you read the full notice. Please also review the recorded webinar titled Applying for Office of Special Education Program Discretionary Grants for additional information. The Applying for Office of Special Education Programs Discretionary Grants webinar will provide some more information about submitting and some more general information that applies to all of our OSEP, which is Office of Special Education Programs priorities. Okay, so we're going to cover a few different topics in this webinar. The purpose of the Educational Media Materials Technology Program, the absolute priority, who eligible applicants are, the award information, program requirements, application and administrative requirements, and the selection criteria. So the purpose of our Educational Technology Media Materials Program, there are 4 pieces here on this slide. Improve results for students with disabilities by promoting the development, demonstration, and use of technology. Support educational activities designed to be of educational value in the classroom for students with disabilities. Provide support for captioning and video description that is appropriate for use in the classroom, and provide accessible educational materials to students with disabilities in a timely manner. This priority itself, so in accordance with 34 CFR 75.105, this priority is from allowable activities specified in Section 674B2 and 681D of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And the purpose of this priority, which is 84.327Z, is to fund a cooperative agreement to establish and operate a national center on accessible educational materials for learning. Under this priority, the center must provide TA to increase the capacity of state education agencies, which are SEAs, local education agencies, which are LEAs, stakeholders, and personnel in early learning programs, schools, institutions of higher education, which are IHEs, and workplaces to provide and support evidence-based practices and compliance training to use accessible educational materials, AEM, and related technologies with individuals who need them to access instruction. To determine for which of these products the key components that maximize the ability of educators, caregivers, parents, and children to adapt and customize digital content and differentiate instruction. The next slide, to continue, B, is to provide TA to SEAs and other stakeholders on accessibility requirements to increase the availability and use of open educational resources, OERs. C, provide TA to SEAs and LEAs on the procurement and curation of print, digital, and born accessible materials, including OERs. Provide support on the use of AIM and related technologies with state-mandated assessments. And these should include student privacy, interoperability, and the alignment of AIM for use in daily instruction and on high-stakes assessments. And E, increase the capacity of educators to author accessible OERs for individuals with disabilities. The next slide is F, to connect resources and personnel for the blind and visually impaired to the broader AIM community, which includes individuals with high incidence disabilities, and these, for example, could be learning disabilities, mild autism, or mild intellectual disabilities, and individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing, to align efforts and increase the use of accessible materials and resources in schools. Maximize the efficiency of the product by reducing the cost of including it in the production of materials, including added costs and time to redesign workflow to create accessible materials, and ensuring optimal ease of use by end users. G, increase publisher and vendor awareness of the need for accessible digital materials, including Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which is WCAG 2.0, World Wide Web Consortium Web Standards, which are part of the W3C, and Voluntary Product Accessibility Templates, which are abbreviated as VPAT. H, to build the capacity of IHEs to include instruction on AIM and related technologies in their teacher and administrator preparation programs. To recommend to the Office of Special Education Programs, OSEP, the necessary revisions or updates to the technical specifications of the National Instructional Materials Accessibility Standard, NIMAS, to ensure that 1, the technical specifications are consistent with current industry standards, and 2, that digital files can be easily and efficiently converted into accessible formats that meet the needs of eligible individuals. And J, collaborate with appropriate OSEP-funded projects related to the NIMAS, AIM, literacy, or reading to increase awareness of accessible materials. I wanted to share some additional other information. Eligible applicants include SEAs, LEAs, including public charter schools that are considered LEAs under state law, IHEs, other public agencies, private nonprofit organizations, freely associated states and outlying areas, Indian tribes or tribal organizations, and for-profit organizations. Award information. So the total amount of federal funds available. We will not make an award exceeding $1,200,000 for a single budget period of 12 months. The full project period could be up to 60 months. Format and page limit recommendations. A page is 8.5 by 11, one side only with 1-inch margins. Please double space all text in the application narrative, including titles, headings, footnotes, quotations, reference citations, and captions, as well as all the text in charts, tables, figures, graphs, and screenshots. Please use a font that is 12-point or larger. Times New Roman, Courier, Courier New, or Arial is recommended. Please limit the application narrative to no more than 70 pages. Now I want to share a few general requirements. Under this priority, you must make a positive effort to employ and advance in employment qualified individuals with disabilities in project activities, and you must involve individuals with disabilities or parents of individuals with disabilities, ages birth through 26, in planning, implementing, and evaluating the project. Okay, the next section we're going to cover is priority requirements, and there are 5 sections here. The significance of the project, quality of project services, quality of project evaluation, adequacy of resources and quality of project personnel, and quality of the management plan. Before I enter this section, I just want to make a quick note that for each of these, you will be hearing the overall heading. Each of these requirements do include sub-bullets and subheadings, so it is very important that you read the actual priority to make sure that you don't miss any of the requirements. So the first is significance of the project, and this includes how the proposed projects will, 1, address the need of AIM and related technologies to support equal opportunities in early learning programs, schools, IHEs, and workplaces, increase the capacity of stakeholders to design, develop, maintain, and distribute AIM and related technologies that conform to current industry standards and as appropriate NIMAS, 3, increase knowledge using identified dissemination strategies of SEAs, LEAs, and other stakeholders to develop, implement, and sustain efficient, unified procurement, curation, and distribution systems, and improve existing systems to ensure the availability and use of AIM and related technologies in early learning programs, schools, IHEs, and workplaces. The next section is quality of the project services, and this includes how the proposed project will, 1, ensure equal access and treatment for members of groups that have traditionally been underrepresented based on race, color, national origin, gender, age, or disability. 2, achieve its goals, objectives, and intended outcomes. 3, use a conceptual framework and provide a copy in Appendix A to develop project plans and activities describing any underlying concepts, assumptions, expectations, beliefs, or theories, as well as the presumed relationships or linkages among these variables and any empirical support for this framework. To continue on with quality of project services, 4, be based in current research. 5, develop new products and services that are of high quality and sufficient intensity to meet current accessibility standards to achieve the intended outcomes of the proposed project. 6, develop products and implement services that maximize efficiency. 7, ensure effective communication and collaboration between project staff, stakeholders, OSEP, and other OSEP-funded projects. The next section is quality of the project evaluation. The evaluation plan must describe the measures of progress in implementation, including the criteria for determining the extent to which the project's products and services have met the goals for reaching the project's target population, measures of intended outcomes or results of the project activities in order to evaluate those activities, and how well the goals or objectives of the proposed project, as described in its logic model, have been met. The next section is the adequacy of resources and the quality of the project personnel. In this section, applicants must describe how, 1, the proposed project will encourage applications for employment from persons who are members of groups that have traditionally been underrepresented based on race, color, national origin, gender, age, or disability as appropriate. 2, the proposed key project personnel, consultants, and subcontractors that have the qualifications and experience to carry out the proposed activities and achieve the project's intended outcomes. 3, the applicant and any key partners have adequate resources to carry out the proposed activities. And 4, the proposed costs are reasonable in relation to the anticipated results and benefits. The next section is the quality of the management plan. In this section, the applicant must describe the proposed management plan, how the proposed management plan will ensure that the project's intended outcomes will be achieved on time and within budget. 2, key project personnel and any consultants and subcontractors that will be allocated and how these allocations are appropriate and adequate to achieve the project's intended outcomes. 3, the proposed management plan will ensure that the products and services are of high quality, relevant, and useful to recipients. And 4, the proposed project will benefit from a diversity of perspectives, including those of families, educators, TA providers, researchers, and policymakers, among others, in its development and operation. So some of the general application requirements, the applications must include a logic model, a conceptual framework, person loading charts, and budget. Now I'm going to go over the selection criteria for this priority. The selection criteria is what the reviewers use to judge the quality of the priority itself. These sections match the sections in the application requirements. The first is significance of the project, which is 15 points. The second is quality of the project design and services, which is 30 points. 3 is the quality of the project evaluation, which is 20 points. 4 is adequacy of project resources and quality of project personnel, which is 15 points. And the last section is quality of the management plan, which is 20 points. And these add up to a total of 100 points that the application can be scored on. The first section I want to talk about is the significance of the project. This one, again, is worth 15 points. And in determining the significance of the proposed project, the Secretary considers the following factors. 1, the extent to which specific gaps or weaknesses in services, infrastructure, or opportunities have been identified and will be addressed by the proposed project, including the nature and magnitude of those gaps and weaknesses. 2, the potential contribution of the proposed project to increased knowledge or understanding of educational problems, issues, or effective strategies. 3, the extent to which the proposed project is likely to build local capacity to provide, improve, or expand services that address the needs of the target population. And 4, the potential replicability of the proposed project or strategies, including, as appropriate, the potential for implementation in a variety of settings. The next section is the quality of the project design and services. This section is worth 30 points. In determining the quality of the project design, the Secretary considers the following factors. 1, the extent to which the goals, objectives, and outcomes to be achieved by the proposed project are clearly specified and measurable. 2, the extent to which the design of the proposed project includes a thorough, high-quality review of relevant literature, a high-quality plan for project implementation, and the use of appropriate methodological tools to ensure successful achievement of project objectives. 3, the extent to which the design of the proposed project is appropriate to and will successfully address the needs of the target population or other identified needs. To continue these, number 4, the extent to which the training or professional development services to be provided by the proposed project are of sufficient quality, intensity, and duration to lead to improvements in practice among the recipients of those services. 5, the extent to which the services to be provided by the proposed project involve the collaboration of appropriate partners for maximizing the effectiveness of project services. And 6, the extent to which the technical assistance services to be provided by the proposed project involve the use of efficient strategies, including the use of technology as appropriate and leveraging of non-project resources. The next section is the quality of the project evaluation. This section is worth 20 points. In determining the quality of the project evaluation, the Secretary considers the following factors. 1, the extent to which the methods of evaluation are thorough, feasible, and appropriate to the goals, objectives, and outcomes of the proposed project. The extent to which the methods of evaluation include the use of objective performance measures that are clearly related to the intended outcomes of the project and will produce quantitative and qualitative data to the extent possible. 3, the extent to which the methods of evaluation will provide performance feedback and permit periodic assessment of progress towards achieving intended outcomes. And 4, the extent to which the evaluation will provide guidance about effective strategies suitable for replication or testing in other settings. The next section is the adequacy of the project resources and the quality of project personnel. This section is worth 15 points. 1, the Secretary considers the adequacy of project resources for the proposed project and the quality of personnel who will carry out the proposed project. In determining the adequacy of resources, the Secretary considers the extent to which the applicant encourages applications for employment from persons who are members of groups that have been traditionally underrepresented based on race, color, national origin, gender, age, or disability. 3, in addition, the Secretary considers one or more of the following factors. 1, the qualifications, including relevant training and experience of the project director or the principal investigator. To continue, 2, the qualifications, including relevant training and experience of key project personnel. 3, the qualifications, including relevant training and experience of project consultants or subcontractors. 4, the adequacy of support, including facilities, equipment, supplies, and other resources from the applicant organization or the lead applicant organization. 5, the relevance and demonstrated commitment of each partner in the proposed project to the implementation and success of the project. And 6, the extent to which the costs are reasonable in relation to the objectives, design, and potential significance of the proposed project. The last section is the quality of the management plan, and this section is worth 20 points. In determining the quality of the management plan for the proposed project, the Secretary considers one or more of the following factors. 1, the adequacy of the management plan to achieve the objectives of the proposed project on time and within budget, including clearly defined responsibilities, timelines, and milestones for accomplishing project tasks. 2, the adequacy of procedures for ensuring feedback and continuous improvement in the operation of the proposed project. 3, the extent to which time commitments of the project director and principal investigator and other key project personnel are appropriate and adequate to meet the objectives of the proposed project. And 4, how the applicant will ensure that a diversity of perspectives are brought to bear in the operation of the proposed project, including those of parents, teachers, the business community, a variety of disciplinary and professional fields, recipients or beneficiaries of services, or others as appropriate. Just want to thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this presentation. If you have questions or feel any need to contact me, you can reach me on my email address, which is my first name, last name at ed.gov, so tara.firstname@ed.gov, or you can reach me at 202-245-6462. If you need support with your application, you can call the grants.gov support desk, and that number is 1-800-518-4726. Thank you again.